up just some of this video from the scene at the time, and you'll remember that this search just captivated the country. This was an area in that reserve where the remains of Brian Laundrie were found. And of course, we learned that some items belonging to Brian Laundrie were found alongside those remains. And then, of course, we got the coroner report that those were indeed Brian Laundrie's. And so the story has moved incrementally since then. I believe that was in late September. And so right now we're going to be going out to Fox 13's Evan Axelbank with the latest on this story. Evan, good to see you. We haven't spoken, since the positive identification of the remains. Now we're getting this autopsy report, a final report into how Brian Laundrie died.
Yeah, we have the autopsy report, and the autopsy report says that he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. They consulted with an anthropologist as well as a dental expert in making that determination. They did a full skeletal reconstruction. Obviously, these remains were badly decomposed. It was mostly skeletal remains, so a typical autopsy was not able to make a determination. But this more advanced autopsy with the use of an anthropologist and other consultants was able to determine that he died of a suicide with a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota. Unanswered questions. We don't know exactly when he took his life. We know that he left the family home on September 13th. That was not revealed until September 17th when his family realized that he might not be coming back from hiking. So you would assume that he took his own life during those 4 days, given how extensive the search was. But of course, we can't know that for sure because that is just the nature of this investigation. We don't know exactly when he pulled that trigger. We do know that all of the different sightings that people said they were making around the country are now, at least appear to have been completely false, not the fault of the people making them. They were just trying to help. But in this case, we know that he was found of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And that leaves the question now of what is going to become of the investigation in the death of Gabby Petito. Her family, of course, knew that they were not going to be getting what is typically referred to as justice, given he passed away before he was able to stand trial, if he was the person who took Gabby Petito's life. Of course, he is the only known person of interest in the case. He was not ever named a suspect, but at this point there are no other suspects, there are no other persons of interest. So if he did in fact take her life, it is unclear as to how the family is ever going to consider closure as having had closure. So right now that's where things stand.
Evan, I wanted to get your comment on a report from FoxNews.com. They have this exclusive where Stephen Bertolino, their attorney, the Laundrie family attorney, said that officials had confiscated all weapons in the home except one. And presumably many people are discussing, and this reporting suggests that that weapon they did not take was the weapon Brian Laundrie used. Do we know anything about that? Has it been recovered?
No, to be honest, we don't know anything about that. Police, because this is an open investigation, are not going to be sharing everything that they're gathering. They're not going to be sharing the particulars other than the very broad strokes so as not to compromise the investigation. Remember, it's easy for us to say, well, why not? But they have to be very careful that they don't release information that could potentially jeopardize a potential criminal investigation. At this point, it doesn't seem to be headed in that direction, but we don't know what police are turning up. They don't typically share that, and they certainly wouldn't do it in a case as sensitive as this one. So right now we don't know what police found with the body. We don't know if police found a firearm. We don't know if police found, I'm making it up now, perhaps a journal, perhaps a backpack, other items of clothing that could give more insight as to what happened between he and Gabby Petito. Was there a suicide note that he left behind? We simply don't know. Police have not said what they found with the body. They haven't discussed clothing. They haven't discussed any potential firearm or anything of that nature.
And Evan, since you've been following this story from the very beginning, what more, though, did Stephen Bertolino say today in that statement? Give us a sense, a little bit more in the statement as well, I believe from Northport Police. And can you give a little more specifics on who conducted this final autopsy? Do we know kind of their name or their outfit?
Well, first of all, we don't know the name of the outfit that did the autopsy for the police department. We do know there was an anthropologist involved. We do know that there was a dental expert involved. It is not typical of them to release those kinds of things, perhaps unless it's, until the final report that comes out that has all the details. And when you see an autopsy, there are lots of details that come with them. This was just a very brief summary of the findings. So I'm sure we'll be able to, at some point, determine exactly who looked through this investigation with the coroner's office here in Sarasota County. As far as the statement goes that came from the Laundrie family attorney, that statement was very brief. It simply said, we hope that this moment we hope that this finding brings closure to both families. They said that they're still in mourning for their son. That is the extent that we have of what we have heard from the Laundrie family, that they are in mourning and that they hope that this brings closure. Northport Police released a statement essentially saying the same thing, that this case brings nothing but sadness. We hope that this helps to bring closure to the families involved. Obviously, they had been very vocal about the Laundries' alleged lack of bringing forward new information because they had been asking to speak with the Laundrie family from the beginning, and the Laundrie family said, hey, on the advice of counsel, we are choosing not to speak, and we have a right not to speak. And indeed, they do have a right not to speak. Right now, it's unclear as to if those discussions went any further between them. We do know that they did have discussions as to the potential whereabouts of Brian Laundrie, but we don't know exactly what was said. The Petito family says they are not going to be speaking until further information comes out from U.S. Attorney's Office, as well as what could they say result in charges. It's unclear as to who they're referring to or what those charges might be, if any at all, but they did say they've been advised to not speak because of the potential of charges being filed. Again, not at all specific there.
All right, Fox 13's Evan Axelbank, we appreciate your time and your reporting. We'll talk to you again if there are any more developments.